Today, my guest is once again Ben Perkins, and we're going to take a look at a book that inspired him, Last of the Independents by Matt Fraction and Kerion Dwyer. It's a widescreen format kind of caper book that really does an amazing job of setting you up with these tropes and then trusting the audience to have that as the baseline and then building the characters on top of that with just beautiful widescreen visuals. Before we take a look at that, though, don't forget to go to my Patreon and sign up. You can take a look at my work as I'm creating it. Also read serialized comics and get physical rewards delivered to your door. Welcome to Chris Anderson Comics.
I get you.
So I like doing the Comic Book Genepool episodes because I get a lot of different books, and I get a lot of books that I probably wouldn't have normally looked at before. This one I had never heard of, and this is only the second book that I would consider like modern. Everybody else picked something that's like older or at least 30 years old. This book is only like 4 years old, I think.
I think it came out in 2003.
Oh, did it
If I
really?
remember
Because
right.
I looked at
Yeah,
okay, all right. So maybe just this
yeah.
edition
So
of it.
yeah, that edition's a newer edition, which is crazy that it came out so far behind the original. But the
Yeah.
copyright I have here is 2003, and I do remember I did get this a long time ago.
Okay, that makes a lot of
Which
sense then. Because
yeah,
okay, and here's the other thing I want to point out is the other book that's modern that I did with a guest was also it was Casanova. It was with Dave Baker, and it was also a Matt Fraction book.
I love that book.
So
But yeah,
Matt
yeah,
Fraction is inspiring a lot of cartoonists in his modern wake.
and he has a lot of different flavors that he can write with, so that's kind of interesting too. Casanova. It's all kind of revolves around kind of like I don't know, crime maybe. I don't know if that's the right
Yeah,
word, but
yeah.
like Casanova's kind of got that James Bond bent to it. This is like a little bit more. I'd say it's kind of like a Rodriguez Tarantino type vibe because it was kind of coming off of that zeitgeist a little bit. But people were making all those like small crime thrillers and stuff, and they were really trying to riff on the whole. Well, he has in the beginning like it's a love letter to the Rockford Files, which I thought that tells you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you this then. Why did you pick this book? So I guess it came out in 2003. I thought it came out in 2020, and I was like, wow, this is a really recent book that really got you stoked. So you've known about this book for a while. So did this book like
Yeah.
get you back into comics or like make you like
I just remember, and I don't actually remember how I got this. I might have actually picked this up at the convention from Kerion Dwyer himself because he did sign it, and that's the only way I'd probably get his signature. I don't think I would bring a book with me. I'm not that
right?
type of person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go in empty and leave with my arms full. So yeah, so I must have picked it up at the convention, and I just remember flipping through it. Or I don't know, maybe I did read it because I remember I loved it, and I had him sign it. I think I did bring it for him to sign, if I remember right.
Okay.
But I was just like, I can't remember exactly. I fell in love with it immediately. One, it was crime, and I like the kind of low key. It wasn't like a huge like end of the world scenario. It was a quiet story. These three main characters just trying to do the deed, right? And then
Right.
the twist happens kind of in the beginning where they're like, we stuck our foot in some larger shit than we intended. But it was like the application of the art, the tightness of how the panels were composed together, obviously the landscape, which has inspired me to this day. I mean, Heavy number one was a landscape, so that's always been in the back of my mind to like format something. Oh shoot, yeah, look at that tiny little thing for a book name Heavy. It's not very imposing, which is kind of the opposite of what I wanted to do.
It's an oxymoron.
But I'm definitely going to correct that issue the second time around. But yeah, and then the application of like it's like a parchment paper. He showed me the paper he worked on, and it's definitely butcher paper, which I thought was
Interesting.
insane. And
Okay.
then he's got the black ink and then the white out. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why you have more yellowy because maybe they're trying to get the yellow of the parchment or butcher paper itself. And my book version is just all kind of like a cool gray. Which
Okay.
I like a lot. And I like all the stuff that he was doing. Like there's panels where it's all white except for like maybe some structural buildings that was just left, and that's just the paper. And
Yeah.
you got to get a sense of environment that way. And this is a different way. The cartooning, I've never seen him do something like that before. So it inspired me. It was quick. It was energetic. All these things with the whiteout that was happening was just totally like it was just blowing my mind every page. And then the story
Sure.
itself was like really really good.
Yeah. So you're starting the
So yeah, I think
page with
first
you.
I wanted to do like
Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead go ahead.
You start. So you start. He's starting the page with a mid-tone, and then he's
Yeah
applying the shadow and the highlight instead of
yeah
starting with the highlight when you do with a regular white paper, and then applying the mid-tone with hatching or whatever. Right. Let me let me
exactly.
let me crack it open here and let's just take a look at. Let's start to take a look at it. There is a So I have a new version of it. Um,
Yes.
there is an introduction in here by Patton Oswalt that's a super interesting introduction because he
Oh
kind of talks about how some of his favorite movies were like Charlie Varick and the Taking of Pelham 123 and the Bad News
sure.
Bears, which all start Walter Matthau, and this book plays out sort of like that movie, and how he talks about how the plot is been done before a million times, and how he and his friend would go to like the Sunset Five, which is like that was a on the corner of like Sunset and Crescent Heights. There was a movie theater there called the Sunset Five in the '90s. It's where I saw like The Big Lebowski when it first came out and like stuff like that. So it would play like all the independent movies. And so
Sure.
he talks in here about how his friend said the only indie movie plots we have left are Hitman on his last job, How Do You Hide This Dead Body, and Oh My God, We Ripped Off the Mob. and and so he's just kind of talks the way that he talks in the introduction, and then you read the story. It's kind of like, are you saying that this is just a milk toast, average run of the mill story? But I think that what he's saying is like it was something of its time and had a twist that was a little bit different than those things. And he talks about how
Right.
it plays out sort of as a movie in this widescreen format, and it really does. It sort of almost acts as storyboards. Now, I'll talk for days on end about how storyboards and comics are totally different, and how film and comics are completely different. But that's beside the point, because sometimes
Right.
there is a Venn diagram that crosses. But the interesting thing is, I got this hardcover, and it came. And you were talking when you told me about this book. You talked about this like how it came with like a parchment paper, and I was like, "Ooh, that's super interesting. I can't wait to see this thing." And I got it, and I was like, "This is photo. This is just like laid on here, like after effect in Photoshop or something." But like, hold up your book.
Yeah. I'll go to the same page you are. There we go. So it definitely is a different,
Yeah, it's a
or it's kind of,
different stock.
so it doesn't feel like it's been manipulated with Photoshop or anything. And I actually saw the pages themselves, and it's definitely legit. The butcher
Right.
paper, whatever he used for it. So, and like to get that kind of that texture and that tone, I'd
Mm-hmm.
never seen anything like that before. It blew my mind, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you can pull and you can push, depending
Mm-hmm.
on where you want that light to be. Really, it's really amazing. And then you can get a lot of cool like modeling effects from it, like the way the light hits the face and all that. Or like I
Yes.
said before, there's like stuff in the background where it's just kind of hinted at by the tone of the paper, and then the whiteout that's laid on top to kind of suggest the sky. Pretty interesting effect. I mean, you can see kind of here with the clouds, in the background where the white
Here.
that's not there is. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. And like I said, I'm sure it's been done before. I'd never seen it in 2003. And I was just like, wow, okay, that's cool. And it was a quick read, it's a quick, brisk. I liked all the characters. They all have character. They all feel like real people.
Mm-hmm.
Even to the extent some of the more, eccentric bad dudes,
Yeah.
But yeah, like especially the three main characters. I don't know how long it took Matt to write this. I don't know how much in love with it he was, but you can definitely tell that there's like a concerted effort to make these characters seem real. There's a 2-page sequence where Cole, and I can't remember what's her name, Justine. They're in bed, and he's kind of like reaching out to her, and is timid, and then she reaches out to him, and then they start making love. It's all wordless, but I thought that
Yeah,
was a beautiful sequence.
yeah,
That kind of storytelling is really really cool, and like cool things like panel layouts. Like you got this gun that's like the top
hmm
layer. I mean, that's cool.
hmm
That's a cool page.
yeah.
Very
Well,
very
let's
cool.
let's take a look at this thing all the way through real quick.
Yeah,
I
let's do
feel
it.
like I feel like Speed was the name of the game with this thing, and I feel like the way that the character development is that he does use it's very trope heavy for for a heist story. And when you have those sort
Right.
of tropes that are already in our heads, that's already a basis for you to develop the characters off of. The audience is coming in going, "Oh, I know this character." And then anything
Right.
that you add to that character is character building on top of that. So it's kind of you can do it in a quick pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's another
Because
thing
you
too. You
already
definitely
have this idea of how these
sure. Like the speed factor you're saying, you can totally see it in the cartooning, but
yeah,
nothing is detracted from that. It all gives towards the energy of it because the story's
yeah,
about these guys trying to evade the mob. That's got to be a quick. That's a heart racing kind of thing in itself. So I think the art kind of lends itself to that
totally.
anxiety. You know,
Yeah, and just the fact that it seems to be drawn on butcher paper with no rulers, like clearly the panels aren't ruled out. It's like let's go, 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 tell this story, you know. So it starts off with this girl. She's kind of standing here. She's got a package in her hand. She's lighting a cigarette, and then there are the way that it's laid out. It is almost like storyboards because there are these beats that are the same, and you see the guy come around the corner, and this guy sitting in his car. So now you've got the team that's going to do this heist laid out with this guy, right? So you got the girl. She's standing here. He's getting ready to be the driver and here's the old pro coming in right with
right?
his
I
bag.
like the beats too. It's almost musical at the beginning. It's like
Hmm.
you go a couple panels and Justine's got the guns, Billy's got the wheel, Cole's got the plan. It's like boom, boom,
Right.
boom, 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 boom,
Yep.
boom. Totally cool.
And again it's like storyboard beats here as it's very film like. That was sort
For
of
sure.
its time. I don't know, like I know there was like a huge thing in the early 2000s where everybody was sort of going widescreen with everything and
Yeah, like
trying to make it quick.
the Brian Hitch model. Like
Yeah,
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 a lot of that. What was it? The Ultimates. He would do a lot of widescreen. That was like almost every
yeah.
panel was like from side to side. But yeah.
Hmm. Yep. So, they go into the bank and, they meet the teller and there's the guard. So, we stuff that we've definitely seen before, give me all your money. Guy presses the button, this is the bank manager, even the character designs are very tropey, like, oh,
Yeah, for
oh,
sure.
I'm the bank manager, like,
Well, and
like
like
fat out.
the totally useless guard. Because I think it
Yeah.
calls him like a hippie at one point or something.
Yeah, and he's almost like Barney Fife with just like
With a ponytail.
yeah, with and a Sam Elliott mustache,
Right.
So, they stick up this guy, and then here's that panel you were talking about with the gun. What were you saying about that now?
Oh, I just like the fact that it stretches across the whole thing. It's a very cool image of just the eyes and the gun and him whimpering and sweating, and then just them rolling into the vault. It's pretty cool. And I think the thing
Yeah,
that's really charming is, of course, he does the trope again where he's not mean, he's not using slurs, he's not angry. He's a very gentlemanly bank robber. He's like, man, if you can only
right.
put the money in the bag, that'd be great.
Yeah, he doesn't want anybody to get hurt here.
No, he's just there. It's
Um,
supposed to be a transaction.
right. And when they open it, the money's already in bags, big bags, just waiting. Um, and so the manager says, "You picked the wrong bank to fuck with, asshole."
Did you just call me asshole?
Um, and we go back out to the guy who's sort of waiting,
Billy.
the Billy, who's the driver, and Billy is he's sort of a simple character. You kind of figure out that he doesn't have all of his mental capacities. He's sort of a child in a
right.
in a in a large person's body, a really large person's body.
Very
But he's
large.
also very capable. He's also very capable in the physical arts.
Right. I think more it's
So
like kind of
you,
like if you were gonna do somebody who had maybe he's on the spectrum with autism, like he's very capable of like the machine stuff and building things
mhm.
and planting stuff. But as far as like human or social interactions and stuff, it's a little bit escapes him sometimes. I think. I mean, I like that he's just sitting there practicing how to speak in the car. Like
Yeah,
I like to eat. I like to eat
yeah, yeah, yeah,
bananas.
yeah,
Yeah, that kind of
yeah.
stuff. I've done that before. I mean, speech therapy. That's all speech therapy stuff. So I think maybe that's part of it.
Sure, totally. And then you see him. He buckles himself up with this bucket seat buckle here, and I love this panel here where you got the smoke of the wheels, in front, showing that he's really moving backwards, and he yells action, like they're in
Yeah.
a stunt or something, going right into the cops, and boom. Now it gets pretty brutal here. This cop
Yeah.
is close.
Again, I think maybe coming off of that late '90s crime action gore kind of stuff, where it's like the extreme.
Yeah,
It is pretty cool though.
yeah,
It's done
yeah,
really well, and
totally.
it doesn't. You don't get lost. Like the action is done in such a way where you know what's happening, especially if you're paying attention, right? Because a lot of stuff goes by
Yeah.
quick. I do like that. I do like the waitress in the diner. She's like, "That's a very big man," and then he throws the guy through the window.
Throws him right through the window. Yeah. He's just coming.
That's great. That was great. There's a lot of funny bits in this too. I mean, it's not like the drum crime stuff. There's a lot of cute moments, a lot of sweet moments, and then there's a lot of moments that I think are really funny.
Yeah. So Billy took care of the cops, just took care of them. And comes waltzing into the bank, and they have Billy grab these giant bags they were not expecting. And they head out.
He warns the manager too. You still got more teeth, and I'll take them from you before anybody takes me.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little bit of foreshadowing because that does come back, which I like.
Yes.
And then one more
Yes.
thing. Y'all have a nice day.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's this Ocean's 11-y kind of,
Oh yeah.
suave bank robber character. Now they're not trying to get millions and millions of dollars. He says something about how it's they're supposed enough money to make them a changed man, not a new man.
Right. Which is smart, Like that kind of gives it a little bit of like, okay, they're criminals, but they're not like evil.
Right.
They just want what they want. I do like this moment where like, why did we call this a rendezvous? Billy wanted to call it a rendezvous, but he wanted to call it a caper too, but I put my foot down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn straight. I mean,
Yep.
like I think that, like so I say, it really gives you a hint of these characters, and like like they know each other well enough to kind of give each other some shit, right?
Right. And so you see them, they load it into this they load it into this biplane, and then they put sort of like C4 into the van and blow it up, and then they just to be like oh, we they died in a wreck or whatever, just cover their tracks, and then fly out in a biplane.
So good.
And then other little character moments too, where it's like a buck says he hits it, hitting the C4 or whatever, and he does, and then he gets it. And so they're hiding out in a little trailer in this sort of carnival that's shut down.
Like it's defunct, yeah, for sure. Like
yeah,
hard times. You can tell it's befallen on hard times, I think.
Yeah. And they've got just a lot of money, and they did not intend for all of this.
Yeah, I really like that shot in the kitchen where it shows all just the stacks and stacks and stacks of money. It's an absurd amount of money. I think they calculated it. I think they said 7 million or something that was in there. I can't remember.
Yeah,
8 million.
Yeah,
$8 million. Crazy.
Sorry, that's not. It's not an earthquake. There's a. I don't know if you can hear that.
I did.
When they come to check my meter, the whole house shakes.
Oh wow!
From the tin.
But I like how they keep calling the mob bastards. They're like, whose money belongs to? Bastards, Billy. It belongs to bastards.
That's right. That's right. So they're just kind of trying to figure out, what to do with this money. Billy got injured.
He got tagged. He didn't know it. That's how kind of naive he is, right? He didn't realize he'd been shot or whatever.
Yeah, they never really say what happened to him. I mean,
maybe he's a glass or something. Maybe some glass got in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's yelling there.
Billy's
they just like take care of this guy. They're like they act like parents towards this guy.
Yeah, like he doesn't mind either. He goes, "Oh, look at you guys! Look at how you guys take care of me." And he's like, "Hey, since you got the scissors out, why don't you cut my hair?" Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, this next part is the 2-page sequence I was talking about, which is like,
sure,
they're both awake, thinking about all this shit. He tries to reach out to console her, lights up a smoke, sits on the edge of the bed. He's all in despair. Then she comes over, starts comforting him. And I just think that's beautiful. Yeah. You don't have to say anything. It's all there. It's great.
Yeah, it's really great cartooning, and it's really great timing.
For sure. And again, like it does have that kind of storyboard aesthetic to it, but it's not necessarily storyboarding it. It's just showing you the beats of the scene, which is great. There's so many moments like her getting curled up in the blanket and then kind of relaxing and coming over to him. She's like, I don't know, what should I do? Should I comfort him? There's a lot of uncertainty in those 2 pages, and then it resolves with them kind of like acquiescing and being like, okay, we're in this together. This is ours. We're gonna own it. We're a team, and you can kind of tell there's a slight age difference between the two of them too. He's a much older chap, and she's kind of a younger woman.
Yeah, there's like a May-June thing happening here
for sure. Just like it's me and my girlfriend. We're like 17 years apart, but like it doesn't affect us at all. You wouldn't even be able to tell. Because we're a unit, and I think that's where they come to. Like we're on the same page with this now.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then Billy comes in with the.
Yeah, you have to almost wonder if they didn't do this to kind of plan it out to almost be like let's get this thing made into a movie. What a better way to do it than to storyboard it in comic form.
I mean, that's how a lot of these comics kind of start in a way. They start as kind of unfulfilled film projects.
Yeah.
Which is, to its detriment sometimes, but like in the case like this book, if that was the case, I'd much rather read it as a comic than see it as a movie. I think as a movie, it would be boring.
Yeah. So they're kind of sleeping here, and, Billy comes in when they're trying to, in the middle of the deed or whatever, and,
Yeah, right.
He can't sleep.
He says this. Yeah, right. It's probably because it's weighing on him too in his own way. The impact of what they've done, right?
I love this.
I do like this next bit, the second panel.
Yeah, the use of no automatic.
Yeah, we say the same thing. Yes, dude.
Just the shut, the way that the blinds just move, and then you find out what it is later.
Means. You just know.
Yeah, he says, "What the fuck was that?" He said, "Someone's here."
I just love how combined with their eyes snapping open, you can tell that that's not a relaxed like, oh, we're just waking up. It's like something woke them up, right?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
And then he says, it sounds like they brought a goddamn cannon, not a cannon, landmines. So Billy put landmines all around the place
because he couldn't sleep, and that's what he does, right? That's how he has nobody to console him, so he's just going to go out and just make sure everyone is safe.
Yeah, plant some landmines, So the mob has found them. Yep, and gives them a call.
Yeah,
says, don't move, I'll come to you.
Which is great. It's a great
they took out quite
line,
a few of their guys. Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, I do like the characterization of Cole because he's just kind of like he's no nonsense, but like it creeps in later where you can kind of see his fears kind of popping up and like his concerns and his insecurities in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. And I love this use of horses too.
Oh,
just as sort of a juxtaposition from the big city mobsters. to the country cowpokes, you know.
Right, exactly. And then like I like the well, he calls them a derogatory term later, but like the mobsters there, he's like, look at this, Jesus fucking Christ! Like he just can't believe it, right? These guys are coming out on horseback, but it makes perfect sense for these characters, right? I mean, I love the fact that they're cowboys, you know.
Yeah,
at least Cole is, you know.
yeah. This very much reminds me of the new season of Fargo too, with John Hamm, who's like, you know, riding his sheriff
Man,
in a small.
I haven't had the pleasure to see that yet, but I've definitely seen the previews for his character.
Yeah, except for John Hamm's not the protagonist in that one. He's the antagonist,
right?
But still, it's
Sure.
like, you know, modern times versus these people on horseback. So he comes to kind of confront him. You know, Billy comes and brings a piece of dynamite.
Explode.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, guess we're getting into it. So they, you know, light him up, shoots the hat off of him.
Well, the guy, the mobster, when he sees it, he starts going for his gun, and then that's when Cole's like, motherfucker, I don't want to do this. And they just pretty much lay them all out.
Yeah, like there's like four guys left out of like 10.
Right.
You know, they just wipe them out, and the mobsters miss everybody. There's
right.
Only 2 guys.
And then my favorite, where he gets the bank manager's teeth.
So they found the reason they found him is because the bank manager said that he heard him say something, heard his name, and knew that they got away on a plane or something like that. So there's only something one person with that name. Yeah.
And then he's there because he's like, that's them, right? He's like,
yeah. Yeah, and when he said, I'll take out the rest of your teeth, I love how he throws this rock too. It's not an overhand throw, it's an underhand, you're a bug to me kind of thing, and hits him right in the teeth.
Okay, so this is what it's kind of talking about. This left-hand page, the second panel, where he whited out pretty much all of the sky except for like the little building here and some sort of structure behind Billy there. I thought that was genius. I'm like, oh, that's a cool way that you can kind of suggest the environment without actually having to fully kind of commit to drawing the whole thing. And of course, you know, it's the hazy morning. It just totally fits, and I thought it was a genius way to do that.
That really is. You know, I hadn't even noticed that. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So and then just drawing the negative space.
Yeah, exactly. Negative space for sure.
Wow, that is really cool. Wow.
Yeah, and it's such a subtle thing that I mean, I've read this book I don't know how many times, but I missed it the first few times. Now, there's a lot of things that I missed, kind of that I had to go back and read it to kind of make sense. There's a couple of things that are, like I said, like when Billy is in the beginning when he's in the van, you can see Cole kind of coming around the corner. If you're not paying attention to that rearview mirror, you'll totally miss that, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Yep. All these little subtle beats. But, you know, that's the other thing, too, is the way that he handles the background and stuff, like you're saying. You know, the background isn't super, you know, important. If it's not important to the storytelling at that moment, or if it's not something that your eye is supposed to be drawn to, then don't spend a whole lot of time on it. And, you know, to the point here where he almost went real cinematic by doing like a soft focus on the background.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Just the negative space.
For sure.
It's beautiful. It's really smart cartooning.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't know a lot of this, what he did before this. I mean, he was established cartoonist and comic book artist. I mean, working on Avengers and stuff like that. I would not have been able to tell that he did any of those books from this. I thought he was an independent artist. But like, yeah, just proves that he can pretty much do anything he wants.
Yeah. The early 2000s into like probably whenever New 52 launched, like that's a big missing. Big gap in my comics knowledge, because I wasn't really reading comics then.
Right.
I'd kind of gotten out and was doing music and stuff around then.
All right.
So yeah, like this, I'm just kind of like seeing his work really for the first time here, and it's just phenomenal.
It almost looks like it's that really happy balance between the energies of your sketch work and then the finality of your putting ink work on top of it. You always kind of lose some of that momentum, some of that exciting energy from the sketch phase. I think this is like kind of this tells the story of you don't have to lose anything. You can go right from sketch and you can just ink your sketches, and you still have that vitality, that energy, that immediacy kind of thing. That's the book is full of energy, even in the quiet scenes, and it's because of that cartooning. You can tell that he's gonna. I'm not gonna say moving fast, but he's moving deliberately quick in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. So Billy here has hidden the money, and they don't want him to tell them where he hid it, because if they get a hold of them and try to torture them to find it out, then they won't be able to, tell them.
But Billy can.
And Cole, right. But Billy can. And Cole is sort of having a hard time here with what he just did by taking out all these mobsters, and he wants to keep her safe. And doesn't want her to go on this, run, but she's like, I can take care of myself.
Right, exactly. Well, I think it's even a little bit more nuanced than that, because he says I couldn't live with myself if you saw what I did. So it wasn't a matter more keeping her safe, but just keeping the idea of who he is safe in her mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of a cool, kind of gentlemanly thing to do. Is like, I don't want you to see me as the monster, And then, sweet.
I love these two panels.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's fine. We're fucked.
Yeah. Such a cinematic beat.
Yeah, and like I think the more that you mention it, the more you say that, I do definitely feel like this might have been like a treatment for a movie that just they didn't get funding for this, so they're like, just turn to a book or something. But I don't know if Matt Faction works that way, so I'm curious to.
Well, maybe not, but knowing that he is also the showrunner on
the Monsterverse stuff, right?
Yeah. Clearly, he had his probably had his eyes set on getting into the film industry.
You're probably not wrong. I mean, this thing seems to be like a good $90 million movie, maybe less. I don't know what budgets movies go for, but that mid-tier kind of thing that they were actually producing back in the mid 2000s, which you don't really see too much anymore. It does have that feel to it. Like it's something that would be like a cult classic to some people.
Yeah. So here we meet the mob boss, and he's basically, telling this guy to, take care of shit, or,
Yeah, and he lays down a not too pleasant epitaph too, right?
Yeah.
Yep, and he's
then we go to this poor security guard is being tortured in all kinds of ways.
He's being gutted, and like who knows what he's in a contraption, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he's like, thank God that I have this hippie guard to take my frustrations out instead of you. And then he goes ahead and bites his ear off anyway.
Yep. That's how badass this guy is. And he runs out there crying. The other thing that I kind of am curious about too is they change the fonts and the word balloons sometimes. I'm guessing that the lowercase font is more for like them talking to themselves or whispering. But I don't know. That's just a weird choice to make, and that kind of always threw me off.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because Justine does it back in the beginning too, and so I don't know why they would switch back and forth, but whatever. I'm of a mind that I like to keep my lettering kind of consistent in a way, but whatever.
Yeah. So they want to get out of here in this old Monte Carlo, and it's just not working.
And of course, it's got a busted carburetor. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if that was a joke or if that was just like a real thing, or because if you don't know about cars, it's always the carburetor, right?
Yeah. And so Billy really knows machines, so he kind of already knew just by listening to it.
Yeah, he's kind of like Donatello in that way.
He's like, well, why don't we just fly out of here? And he says, well, the bastards will be able to track us if we fly.
Yeah.
Give me some parts, I can fix it faster. I just need a day.
And again, they do that
bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Bull true.
Bull true. I'm just in the rebuild kit. I know I can do it, dude. I love his energy, dude. He's just always positive.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like I said again, the dynamic between the three characters, it's something that I really liked, and it felt organic. It didn't feel like it was like, again, the tropes help, what you said, which is something that I didn't really consider before. So I'm glad you pointed that out for me. But again, it's like it definitely adds to that. You know that they have history. You know that they have affection for each other. You don't know how. Well, I think actually later in the book it tells how they all got together, but you don't need to know that right now. You know, you just know that they're a unit. They're in it together, and they're all for each other. You know.
Yeah.
There's no backstabbing. There's no like, you know, someone going to blackmail the other. You know, you get that that's not going to be a part of the story.
Right. So they go to get this rebuild kit. They go into town. You know, they have a little moment where they race their horses in.
Cole and Justine in love.
Yep. So as they go into the parts store, they the mobsters find him there.
Right. Well, this is a little kind of neat little point they put on too, is the caption after Cole and Justine in love. So anyway, back to the real story. Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird thing.
I love this panel too, with the foreground branches and the horses kind of like in the tree in the shadow here, and then you got the little town in the background. It's a great establishing shot, and it's just a beautiful composition too.
It is, and there's nothing, and you really look at it, it's all kind of like just dashed in. There's squiggles sometimes. I mean, like the cartooning is like 100% in this book. I like everything he does in here, like down to the facial expressions. The eyes even have their own like glimmer. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that 70 shot's one for the books. It's really, really sharp, and it kind of reminds me of Toth in a lot of ways, because that layering of like the black on white kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely that black and negative space balance, you know.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
The only thing that I think Toth would have a problem with is the heavy use of rim lighting, like on this gun here.
Oh yeah, the halo, right? They call it the halo.
Yeah,
I think Eric Larson is another guy who's not a fan of the halo, and that brings up a good question. Like, is it appropriate to use? I mean, comics is a graphic medium. I have no problems using it sometimes when I feel like I need to make things distinguished,
stand out.
And I think maybe he did that only because he wasn't, you got the black van and the gun is in front of the black van, so he had to make it pop somehow. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah. I always see those when I come across them too, and I'm like, I don't know. Is there a different way to do that?
Yeah, it was a very big thing to do in the early 2000s. I'm not a fan of them personally. I think that there is a time and place, for them. But most of the time, I'm like, just bury it in the shadows. Your reader's not stupid.
Right, exactly. I mean, sometimes it can come off looking a little bit more realistic that way too, as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, rim lighting, like on the jacket here and whatever, that's fine. But when it's this whole thing all the way around,
right. It's almost like a cut and paste.
It doesn't work for me. So I love that they pulled the guns on this guy, on him, and he's trying to pay for this kit, and then the shop owner's like, "You left your carb kit. I'll be back for it."
That's Cole's confidence right there. You know what I mean? He just knows. Oh, yeah. That's the cowboy way. Ain't nothing gonna get him down.
Oh, hey, you know what I forgot? My girl. Love this.
Yeah. That is great. And then she comes crawling in, and then rams him with the truck, dude. It's just totally pins him. I mean, it's brutal. This book is brutal, but you can tell it comes out of the 2000s in that regard of that extreme crime kind of violence, And then of course, get yourself the shootout. Don't you fucking touch her.
Second time, man. These mobsters have terrible aim. I love his
They're like, I think they probably got their training from what do they call it? A Cobra, where it was. They nobody could ever. Stormtroopers, I think is what I'm thinking of. That's funny.
Yeah, totally. Well, Cobra too, really.
Right.
Cobra and Joe, nobody could hit anybody else unless they were robots. Right?
I love this. Unfucking believable. He went back in for the part.
Yep.
That's great. And
Yep,
he gives the clerk $18,000.
Rockford, do a Rockford.
Right. Which, again, if you didn't know, you're going to get by the sequence that he draws out. You understand exactly what it is. And, like, if you watch Rockford Files, they did that crap all the time. So, which is cool that they put that in there. I used to grow up watching all that kind of old shit. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So this is a great little just chase scene. They ditch the old truck and get on the horses. I love how she rolls out of the truck, and then he's coming with the horse, and she just sort of like saddles up.
Just like again, like you don't get much of their past, but she must have been some sort of circus performer with horses, maybe, or that's what I get from that moment. Like that's how she knows to do that, right?
Well, they do. Cole does own a carnival, and as you'll find out in a moment, he sort of met her as was she like a stunt biplane?
That's right. Yeah, like I said, I read this thing yesterday and I forgot. My memory sucks. But yeah, that must have been part of it, though. But anyway, or she's just a cowgirl. She could have just grown up around horses, on a farm or something. But you get they're not shy around horses, obviously. And of course, let's give credit to Dwyer for being able to draw a comic and consistently have horses that don't look bad. They look like great horses. Horses notoriously hard to draw for some people. I mean, I have a main character that's a horse. I cheated. I made mine a guy who's got a horse head, so I can get away with that. Yeah. But
you got the heads down.
Yeah, I got the head down. But yeah, the body and stuff. These are some great looking horses in this stuff. Unbelievable. They look like they're moving.
Tom Neely once told me how much he loves to draw horses. He's like, they're all knuckles. That's all they are. They're just a bunch of knuckles.
Yeah, right. That is not actually wrong. I mean, and they're pretty. I mean, they're lean. Horses are tight, muscly, so I can definitely see that. Totally.
And I love this. They got the horses. The mobsters didn't see it, so they go and they're shooting up the truck. And then there's this. I love this tag team, this shotgun sandwich that they make.
That is a lovely term for what they do here. They do definitely a shotgun sandwich. That's great. And then it just kind of rolls into the tree. And it's like, you can tell that's like a beat, like a comedy beat. It just kind of softly rolls into the trunk of that tree.
Yeah. Think that fella had a cell phone? Yep, he does.
Right.
When they cut the scenes, they end the scene, with a question and immediately answer it,
Which is, of course, my go-to. I love doing that. I mean, when I set up my pages, I always try to end on a question and have the next page start with an answer. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not an overt question, just more like just get people to turn the page. Like, oh, okay, what's happening? That's great. That's a great idea. I love that. I never noticed that before. And of course, the guy repeats his line, "Everything's fucked, sir."
Yep.
Did he get his other ear bitten off? This is the thing that I don't. This is the thing that tripped me up too, right? Is I don't know when this takes place when he says everything's fucked. Is that the repeating of the moment, or is that a different moment? Because his ear isn't torn off here. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good question. Yeah, that is a good question. I think that might have been a continuity mistake.
And I feel so too, and it tripped me up all the time when I read it. So I later on when I read it, I just glossed over it. It didn't really matter. But the first time I read it kind of stuck out to me like, where are we at? Did we just go back in time? Because it does do that. But and then the next panel shows him with the thing off. So it's just kind of a weird, like I said, probably continuity thing.
I do that all the time, man. I find continuity mistakes in my work all the time.
Yeah, well, if we going over Deathslinger, I've realized that I did not keep even her character design consistent. It kind of changes and morphs like from so okay.
The robot.
Yeah, it happens.
So here, this is a better example, I think, of how I like to do things with rim lighting on guns. See, he didn't go all the way around. It's just the glare off of the folds and the different parts of the gun.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
That works. I mean, it's almost like rim lighting all the way around, but not quite.
But he left out a couple of pieces where it doesn't like sticks it to that night sky too in a way, right?
Right. Yeah.
Some nice in repose moments for our characters, right? After all this hullabaloo.
Mm-hmm. And
Billy
so you
working.
get to kind of see, where he met her. Last of the Independents, sightseeing, barrel rolls, crop dusting. So she's a biplane pilot, and that's where they met.
But Billy's already been there, I guess, apparently working with Cole. But I like Cole. He's like, hey, man, why don't you go find something to do for a bit? Because he's planning on probably shagging this lady. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, the next day they end up there in bed. So I mean,
yeah,
that's their introduction, and that's how they kind of started their relationship, which is great. And he won the amusement park in a riverboat poker game, which I think is always interesting, right? It adds kind of these layers of textures, and you don't have to go and actually show that. You can just tell it in a line of dialogue. It's good. I mean, you already know who the character is, so it makes sense that might be something that would happen to him, right?
Yeah, and the way that it's written too, he has these moments where it's like the little rectangles up in the it's like Cole thinks about meeting Billy. You know, it's just like I don't know, it's a style choice, you know.
Right, I think that lends to that neo-noir type of sensibilities as well, I think, maybe, was what he's pulling from. That's my only guess.
It feels very, like, late 90s film, too.
For sure,
so he meets Billy by these, Billy's trying to, tell these bikers how to fix their stuff, and they're not having it. And, Cole and Billy really take him out. Yeah. That's the first time they meet.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't want to hurt him. So, yeah. And then he asks him
how an amusement park ride works, how to fix them. I like little rides and stuff, sure.
Cole called
Down fucking drunk.
Billy. He took care of me. Again, that comes back. And then, of course, and Billy thinks about puppies.
And Billy, there he is.
Which is sweet, again, it points to like the character that he is, right? He's kind of like a simpleton. He's he's not into the whole thing. He can if he needs to be, but he'd rather just think about puppies.
Like of mice and men, what that.
Yeah. Was it George? No, George is the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will love him and pet him and stroke him and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, so he fixed the car, but you can see now that the mobsters have snuck up behind him, and they're like, Billy, you put the things in the front of the house. Did you put them in the back? And he's like, oh shit. And
and then he goes on the what do you call it? The parable or whatever, the scorpion and the frog.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cole cuts him off. Yeah, I've seen that fucking movie.
And then he shoots Billy right
in the back. Yeah. And again, great storytelling, because you take the most naive, simple character, and no evil in his body, and then you just destroy him. You have the bad guy just do him in, and that's crazy. Because your heart goes out to Billy. You're like, oh no, not Billy.
I love how these big blasts and stuff don't have like big boom sound effects.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any onomatopoeia in the whole book at all, actually. And maybe that was a deliberate choice not to include any. I like it. I also really, as you know, my work, I really love putting in onomatopoeias because it's a chance to kind of like play around and have fun with the form. But I think they're trying to be as like, Sunday night TV cable show as possible, I think, and just kind of keep it as real as possible. But I did notice that there's no onomatopoeia. I think it's a good choice, man. You get it. I mean, it's pretty brutal, man, right in the back. Oh.
Yeah, I like that choice too. I like it when it's part of the artwork. I hate it when it's done by a letterer most of the time.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel like part of it.
Yeah, in my later years, I've tried to really just put all the onomatopoeia, if there's going to be some, on the board, because I don't like that color form kind of way it looks after the fact. It has to be kind of incorporated, otherwise it kind of seems janky.
Yeah. And if it's both, if the artist put it in the board and then the letterer comes in later and puts it on, then I'm out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta have one or the other. You can't have both.
So as Billy lay here dying, he whispers something into Cole's ear. And what you think it is where the money is, right?
Right.
Where they're leading you to believe. And so he says, all right, I know where it is. Oh, God damn it. He told me. And, they're going to keep her as collateral while he's going to, take them to the money, right?
Right. And he's like, you guys stay close. The whole place is rigged with. And then, of course, explosions start going off, right?
Right. That would be a landmine. Yep.
Well, we know that because, again, the blinds are shaking the way they did before, so that's our signal, right? And again, it's a callback. It's really smart cartooning. No onomatopoeia again. All the shocked faces looking towards the window. You get that's the landmine going off again. It's smart, super smart.
I'd love to see the script. I wonder if that was a call.
Maybe.
Whose call that was.
Huh. I wouldn't doubt that Matt put that in there as a note to sell it. But maybe Kerion was like, I don't want to do any sound effects. Is there a way we can figure out how to do this without using any? Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing the script for that too. I wish I'd asked. I wish I was smarter. I wish I had 20 more years. When I was talking to him about it, I would have asked him those questions. But I was just gushing over for about 15 minutes instead.
Well, maybe we can get him on and ask him.
Yeah. Hey, never know. That'd be great.
I love this where they're like, she's like, you better tie me down. And then, they're kind of walking through here, having a conversation. They're at the Ferris wheel. Like, we're here. They keep calling her the Coos.
Right.
And then back here, they're talking about, they're talking, and she kind of glances over at the block of knives, and it was the first things one of the first things they bought together.
Yeah, and again, a cute moment, right? Our first kitchen thing,
Yeah, and then she, says, "Gentlemen, the Coos is freed."
And then you don't even get to see what she does, which is great. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah,
the theater of the mind. It's great.
Right. So the mob boss or the mob guy wants to go up there with him. He wants to, pull it down and pull the lever down to have it come down. And he's like, no. It could be rigged. Rigged to blow. I'm gonna go up.
Right, because he doesn't know what Billy did.
Right. So this is a great moment. It's gonna lead you. And then you've got this whole thing where you're like, Jesus, she going for it. Grab eyes. My balls. Please no. And then silence. Yeah. And then she just walks out with this knife.
All covered in blood. It's great. It's lovely. Again, you don't have to
all the way up there. Yeah. And it's not the money.
It's guns.
Billy left him a bunch of guns. And
I love it. Billy says goodbye. And I think I don't know. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I like this book so much is because it has those little caption moments where it kind of, it elevates in the sense where like, this is what he said to him to keep them safe. He knew he was dying. Yeah. That was his last action was to help them. Pretty cool. Yeah. I don't think I'd be smart enough to do something like that, but who knows? But again, it's just a great moment. Billy says goodbye, and there you go.
Billy also gave them a button to an explosive, right?
Right, to blow up the barn.
Yeah, Billy gave me the button. So she lets the horses out, and she gets in the plane and takes off and blows up the building. Saves the horses.
It's a really great moment too. I really love the eyeball in the goggles with the tear coming down. I just think that's really, really well done. Again, it's not spectacularly super round or perfect, but like you get the idea, and that's what I think that cartooning in this. I kind of like that. The those angular choices in a lot of ways. I mean, his work kind of lends himself to that, but like I like that panel a lot.
Yeah, it looks like he's using a brush and maybe like a marker.
Sure.
I don't know if it's a quill.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's definitely. I wish. Oh man, you know what? I don't know if I talked to him. I don't know if it's a Sharpie, but I know he definitely did use a Sharpie for some of this.
Yeah, probably for filling in blacks and stuff.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I saw him spread out on his table when I talked to him. So, but I mean, even like this, when Cole's getting up into the gears of this Ferris wheel, I mean, that looks all legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he must have had some reference for all that. I mean, it looks so good. I mean, even though if he's just showing you little pieces of it, the pieces he does show, it fills in the whole thing for you. You know? Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the foreground sort of, in shadow shots for the way it's framing the barn, and then, he comes guns a-blazing, taking down. Oh, he gets hit in the shoulder.
Well, the hero's got to take at least one, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he wants him to fan out. Oh, he's out of ammunition, and
movie's over. Tough guy. Yeah, again, giving him the call back that he gave him earlier.
Yep.
Cool stuff.
The money was in the car, asshole. The car is blown up. And here comes the plane. She drops a Zippo.
And then dusts them with a bunch of, I'm assuming, flammable material.
Yeah, no, he says, like, what? Oh, there's gasoline dumped on him.
That's right. The crazy bitch just dumped gasoline on us. Crazy what? Again, last time you're going to assault my lady, right?
Exactly.
Wow, yeah. And then they torch him. Pretty good.
Yeah, but this guy's still hanging on here for a second.
He's like, what?
He chokes him out.
No clever line? Nobody fucking quip? Nope, not this time. Doesn't need it.
Nope.
Yeah, pretty good.
They got about $7,000 back left. That's all that they could salvage from it.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. But I mean, that was $8 million. But they didn't even intend to have that. I forgot even how. You don't even know how much they wanted to get in the first place.
Right, it wasn't a big number. That's all. Right,
because it's a small ass town. They're not going to have a bunch of money in there. So maybe they just wanted 10,000. So who knows? Maybe they got their payday after all.
Yeah. And somehow Billy's been cremated and put into this box.
I'm assuming it's from the burning of the whole establishment.
Right.
But you have to. I used to work with my dad summers at the cemetery, and we had the only crematorium in town, in the state, I think. And I had I won't say pleasure, but I had the experience of having to go through that. It takes a lot more than a burning building to put you to ash. It's like 3,000 degrees you got to be up at. So.
Yeah. So Billy really wanted to just go to like the competition fairground, and spend the money, and so that's what they kind of do at the end,
His favorite
place. And then
place.
It rained ash over Wonderland, so he just draws them, dropping Billy's ashes over the place.
And over this little kid, he's like, "Look at that!" And definitely. I don't know, and I know you're a big He-Man guy, but that castle kind of gives me He-Man vibes for some reason. Not Disney vibes, but He-Man vibes. And I don't know why. Maybe,
totally.
But and then they were never heard from again, which is great. Happy, not they live happily ever after. They were just never heard from again. Right?
Exactly.
So.
Such a great book.
And I don't know if in the back of yours you have any acknowledgments, but Matt does. Credit to Peckinpah, Eastwood, John Ford, Howard Hawks, and Sergio Leone for a lot of the stuff that happens in this book. That thought a middle-aged man could be an action hero, which is kind of there you go. Yeah, so when you kind of have that kind of umbrella on it, it kind of makes sense that why this book exists. And then they have this piece of art here that he did for his birthday, which I think maybe would be like introductory art, because the characters are there, but they don't look like the characters in the book. They look like kind of like first designs or something. And it looks like you have some more material in the back of yours, yeah?
Yeah. So this is various studies of coal, trying to figure out the right process for a one color treatment.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get this book.
Yeah. First drawings of the anti-heroes.
Sure.
Yeah, for Matt's birthday, right? And then this says versions of some interior frames from an art show at Yerba Buena Center.
Oh wow.
For the arts in San Francisco.
Huh.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing this, man.
Yeah, man, I wanted to pick something that nobody had really heard of. I mean, before I think I was gonna go with like a Frank Miller book from the Sin City, and like I think a lot of people know that book. And I think I was inspired because I saw your video with Tony, and you guys picked out a book I had never heard of before. And I was just thinking, so I was just going through my bookshelf. I'm like, oh, I used to have a real big heart on for this Last of the Independence book. That should be something we talk about. And so I'm glad because it was really a joy to read it again. It was really awesome to talk to you about the art and stuff and go over it. What did you think about it initially? Did you like it?
I did. I thought it was a really quick read, and I thought that the artwork was really well thought out, and there was some speed to it. Not knowing that this wasn't the version that you had, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I like the layover of the, paper texture. It's not real paper texture, so why even do it? But when it turns out that that's not the case, and it was actually on that sort of paper, it changes everything for me.
I just think maybe instead of doing it black and white, they just probably went with the color of the paper. And I think it seems like they boost the saturation of the color of the paper there. But
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of glossy paper for the most part, so mine's matte. So I do really like this paperback version. It's just nice. It's floppy. There's just something charming that I like about it. Of course, the landscape format, but I definitely want to get my hands and at least look through that, maybe Barnes Noble or something that they have there. That looks like a nice sharp copy.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. All right. So where can people find your books and your business?
Geez, man, just follow me on Facebook for now because I don't have any kind of website or anything because I'm in slacking. I don't have the infrastructure to get that started yet, but soon, hopefully, maybe get a Wix. But I'm Ben Perkins on Facebook, Instagram. I'm at Brady Ben. I usually share a bunch of art there and stuff, so yeah, you can look for me there, and I'll always announce books. I got that Deathslinger book that's in pre-order right now at comiclinesproduction.com. Just go under shop, and you'll find all those goodies. So yeah, good times.
Cool. Thanks
so much for having me on, man. It's been fun.
Wait, you kidding? Awesome. All right, well, we're gonna take a look at Deathslinger next here. So if you stick around and watch that video too, everybody. All right, bye. Join my Patreon to see my work before anyone else, plus score physical sketchbooks, mini comics, and commissions delivered right to your door, and reading my new books, Something Seems Off and Three-Headed Pigman, as they are made. Go to my website to order original art, commissions, and my books, Lost Angels, Spectral: A Showcase of Fear, Chaotic Neutral, and more. Gray Matter Drip, The Art of Chris Anderson, is available now from Cosmic Lion Productions. Here are the upcoming conventions I'll be at the time of this recording. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It helps spread the word. Thanks.